So the first agenda item this afternoon is the appointment of chairperson. I am Councillor Steve Hunt, leader of Neath Talbot Council, and I will be chairing today's meeting of Cabinet. So prynawn da, croeso, good afternoon and welcome to you all. Can I welcome members of the public also, all the press who may be viewing this meeting. Please can you ensure that your microphones are switched off? You are here to observe the meeting only. Members and officers, please ensure that your phones are switched to silent for the duration of the meeting and that your microphones are switched to mute unless you are speaking. In addition, when asked to raise your hand, if members who are virtually attending the meeting could raise your electronic hands, and for members physically present, just raise your hand here in the chamber. Officers, please ensure to verbally add any additional comments from the scrutiny committees if this is not already included within your reports. So I move on to agenda item 3 this afternoon, declarations of interest. Can I ask, are there any declarations of interest from members? Please would members say what the items are and what the interest is? And if you do have any, Tammy will forward you an electronic version of the form for you to complete and email back to her. So I will start. I have a declaration of interest on agenda item 30, which is the Riola estate, and I will be leaving the meeting, and the deputy leader will take the chair when we come to that agenda item. So, anybody else? Councillor Harris, Sean?
Can I declare personal interest in agenda item 7, the RLDP, please?
Thank you, Sean. Joe, Councillor Hale?
Agenda number 7, the same thing, please.
Thank you, Joe. Councillor Hurley?
Yeah, a conflict with Riola as well, please. Thank you.
Very much. Councillor Noy?
Thanks, Leader. Yeah, item 30, Riola Estate as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I don't see any others, and I don't see any online. No? Okay then. If I move on to agenda item 4, which are the minutes of the previous meeting of Cabinet held on the 23rd of October 2024. The minutes of the 23rd of October are on pages 5 to 14 of your agenda pack. The minutes are here for approval of accuracy only. So can I ask members if they have any comments on the accuracy of these minutes? I don't see any. So I'm happy now to propose as a true record. Can I have a seconder, please?
Happy to see Eilio Wynydd, please to second, Leader.
Thank you, Alan. Members, if you do not indicate to the contrary by raising your hand, I will assume that you're content with the accuracy of those minutes.
No indications to the contrary, Leader, so those minutes have been approved.
Thank you, Tammy. Agenda item 5 is the Forward Work Programme for 24-25. The Forward Work Programme is on pages 15 to 20 and is here for noting. I move on to agenda item 6, which is public question time. I have received no notifications from the public to speak at today's meeting. Agenda item 7 is the Replacement Local Development Strategy 2023 to 2038. This report is on pages 21 to 58 and is here for a decision. I'll go now to Kerry Morris to see if he has anything further to add to the report. Kerry first, Wyndham.
Thank you, Leader. Only to say, Chair, that this is obviously the first important formal stage of the RLDP. It follows quite a lot of effort from the team in terms of preparing the background evidence base which supports the strategy as it's emerging. Ultimately, it sets out the key issues that need to be addressed over the plan period, and again, that comes from the evidence base. And sets out a vision, objectives, and also preferred options in terms of both growth and spatial strategies. There are also key strategic policies and some key sites identified. And there was a good debate. We had an all-member seminar last week where there were lots of questions and answers in terms of some of the issues that members wanted to raise. Ultimately, this report seeks Cabinet approval to commend to Council for consideration, which ultimately then with a view to going out to quite a wide ranged public and stakeholder consultation. So that's all I really need to add to the report. Thank you, Leader.
Thank you very much, Kerry. Members, any questions? Wyndham?
No, not a question, Chair. Just I'd like to make a statement on the RLDP, and it's more or less what Kerry is saying, but I'd like to bring our cabinet members up to speed. Following numerous presentations and seminars we've recently had, all members should be fully aware of the purpose and statutory requirements of the Replacement Local Development Plan, or RLDP for short. Preferred strategy is the first statutory consultation stage of the RLDP. Preparation process in the Cabinet report requires us to consider and agree it for public consultation scheduled to start 12th of December for 8 weeks. The preferred strategy outlines the strategic framework for land use and development over the 15-year plan period from 2023 to 2038. Sets out the key issues for the plan to address, establishes a vision and objectives, identifies the preferred level of growth in Neath Talbot over the 15-year period in terms of population, housing, jobs and employment land. Identifies the spatial distribution of this group, identifies the strategic policy framework and identifies the key sites to help deliver the plan's aspirations. Our current LDP expires at the end of 2026, so it is essential that we meet the tight timescales set out with the RLDP delivery agreement to ensure we have a replacement plan for determining planning application. Wales operates within a plan-led planning system. Therefore, if we don't have a plan, we have a problem. We will have to rely on Welsh Government's plan Future for Wales. We will experience speculative development outside settlement limiteds and more planning appeals. We also want to avoid the situation the Wrexham Council found themselves in recently. Moving on to the officers who produced the plan, I wish to thank Kerry, Lana, Rachel and the LDP plan team for their hard work and continued efforts to get us to this stage. As you know, it has not been easy. In addition to the preferred strategy document, there are around 30 evidence-based documents supporting the contents of the plan. Members, this is a very important document for the authority, and I therefore ask members of the Cabinet to approve the preferred strategy and associated documents for the public consultation and commend the Council for approval on the 27th of November.
Thank you, Councillor Griffiths. Do any other member have any further comments? I don't see any. I now refer members to the recommendations on page 30 of your agenda pack. I'm happy to propose this agenda item. Can I have a seconder, please?
Obviously, I look at it as please 2 seconds.
Thank you, Alan. Any abstentions from members? I don't see any. Members, if you do not indicate to the contrary by raising your hand, I will assume that you are in favour of the recommendation.
No indications to the contrary, Leader, so those recommendations have been approved.
Thank you very much. Agenda item 8 is the 20 miles per hour guidance review. This report is on page 59 to 78 and is here for a decision. Can I ask Dave Griffiths, who's on the call, does he have anything further to add, please?
Oh, thank you, Chair. I've got nothing further to add to the report at this time.
Thank you, David. Members, do you have any questions on this agenda item? I don't. Oh, Nia, Councillor Griffiths.
Thank you, Chair. I think it's important just for our constituents to be aware that we are still constrained by some of the regulations put in place by the Welsh Government, not for them, because we know there's been quite public uproar in some quarters about these decisions. So just so they know and are aware that we cannot reverse all the 20 miles an hour zones in the county. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Jenkins. Just from me, David, and I see you have Joy on the call as well. Can you just ensure I support the recommendations that you do contact or able to contact each member of this authority for them to feed into the process so that they can have conversations with you and your highway teams to look at the particular roads that may be of concern and for you to deal with them in an appropriate way and in a professional way. If that's okay, please. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely, Chair. We're able to make further contact with the members. You will recall that we held a full member seminar to take them through the process that we will now be going through. But yes, we're happy to follow up on behalf of the Cabinet with each of the members.
Thank you very much, David. I now refer members to the recommendations on page 66 of your agenda pack. Again, I'm happy to propose this agenda item. Can I have a seconder, please?
Happy to see I look at it, please to second.
Thank you, Alan. Any abstentions from members? Don't see any. Members, if you do not indicate to the contrary by raising your hand, I will assume that you're in favour of the recommendations.
No indications to the contrary, Chair, so those recommendations have been approved.
Thank you very much. Agenda item 9 is disclosure and barring services policy and procedures for home to school and social services transport providers. The report is on page 79 to 128 and is here for a decision. Again, I will go to David Griffiths to see if he has anything further to add on this agenda item, please.
Again, Chair, nothing further to add. It is quite a detailed procedural document, and I do have Brendan Griffiths on the call should members have any specific questions in respect of the impending new policy. Thank you.
Thank you, David. And I'll go to members now then. Members, do you have any questions on this agenda item? Councillor Jenkins?
Sorry, it's me again. Not my portfolio, but obviously it does have an impact on education. And I just to say how welcome it is, safeguarding of our young people is of paramount importance. And I just like to thank everybody involved in this to make sure it's good to see that Neath Talbot takes our responsibilities seriously in this area. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Jenkins. No further comments from members? I don't see any. I now refer members to the recommendations on page 83 of your agenda pack. I am happy to propose this agenda item. Could I have a seconder, please?
See I look at it, please.
Thank you, Alan. Any abstentions from members? Don't see any. Members, if you do not indicate to the contrary by raising your hand, I will assume that you're in favour of the recommendations.
No indications to the contrary, Chair, so those recommendations have been approved.
Thank you very much, Tammy. Agenda item 10 is the disposal of off-street pay and display car parks capacity review. The report is on pages 129 to 148 and is here for a decision. I know I have Dave Griffiths and Simon Brennan on the call. So can I ask either of you if you have anything further to add, please?
Yes, if you don't mind, Chair, if I may report back from the Cabinet Scrutiny Committee held on the 8th. There is a recommendation, an addition to the recommendation that's been proposed by the Scrutiny Committee in relation to recommendation 3, that they would like Cabinet to consider to adding in after the final decision to include capital investment plans, proposed opening hours and impact on Talbot Town Centre car parks retained by the Council to recommendation 3. And the scrutiny members also wish to make a recommendation of their own, which would be owned by the Scrutiny Committee, and that is a request for officers to explore options to gather occupancy data to be reported back to the Scrutiny Committee. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, David. Bearing in mind of some of the added recommendations from David Griffiths, can I ask members if they have any questions? Councillor Llewellyn?
Yeah, just very briefly, just to thank the officer's report. I know a tremendous amount of work has gone behind looking at these options, and I think one of the important points is that each one of the car parks has been looked at on its own merits and its own potential, so that very careful consideration will be given before there's any disposals, and that's reflected, for instance, in the recommendation that for Pontardawe that further work be undertaken to look at usage, and I think that's very important, for the towns that are concerned. So I think that there was a very considered discussion at scrutiny, and I believe that we can all be content with the recommendations and requests that have come through from scrutiny as well to add to the report.
Thank you, Councillor Llywelyn. Any further questions from members? No? Okay then. With the amendments or the additions to the recommendation that has come through from Dave Griffiths, can I ask if all members are happy with those additions to the recommendations this afternoon that are on pages 137 to 138 of your agenda pack, obviously with the added items that have just been explained. Can I ask if there's any members who are not in favour of that recommendation? Can I ask, are there any abstentions to that new recommendation? I don't see any. So with those included, I'm happy to propose this recommendation. Can I have a seconder, please?
Happy to see you, please, to second, sir.
Thank you, Alan. Can I ask now again, are there any abstentions? I don't see any. So members, if you do not indicate to the contrary by raising your hand, I will assume that you're in favour of the new recommendation.
No indications to the contrary, Leader, so the recommendations as well as the scrutiny recommendations have been approved. Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy. Agenda item 11 is the local bus franchising development. This report is on pages 149 to 178 and is here for a decision. I'll go back to Dave Griffiths again to see if he has anything further to add.
Nothing further to add, Chair, at this stage.
Thank you, David. Can I go to members to see if they have any questions? Don't see any.
No.
Oh, sorry.
Not a
Councillor
question.
Griffiths, sorry, Wyndham, I didn't see you on.
Not a question, Chair. It's just thanking all the officers who've been involved in this very technical report. I thank them all for their hard and diligent work.
Thank you very much, Wyndham, and sure that we all support what you've said there. I now refer members to the recommendation on page 166 of your agenda pack. I will propose this agenda item. Can I have a seconder, please?
Happy to see you, please, to second, Chair.
Thank you, Alan. Any abstentions? I don't see any. Members, if you do not indicate to the contrary by raising your hand, I will assume you're in favour of the recommendation.
No indications to the contrary, Leader, so those recommendations have been approved.
Thank you, Tammy. Agenda item 12 is the traffic orders. The first traffic order is the Princess Margaret Way, Port Talbot. This report again is on page 179 to 196 and is here for a decision. So I'll go back to David Griffiths once more to see if he has anything further to add.
Just a minor item to mention, Chair, that should members be minded to approve the orders today, that officers will work with local businesses to introduce a digital assist service for those members of the community that need assistance in paying by phone. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, David. Can I ask members if they have any questions? Councillor Phillip?
Thank you, Leader, and thank you for that addition to Dave Griffiths. The proposal is to be pay by phone, either by smartphone or by using by calling a telephone line. I think it's important that we recognise that some people, and particularly some of our most vulnerable people, do need to be using cash and do need assistance. So I think it's vitally important that we work with local businesses and take whatever steps we can to make sure that nobody is excluded because of their need to use cash or their exclusion digitally from using phones or cards. Thank you, Leader.
Thank you, Ken. Any further questions from members? Can I just say as well, Ken, you're right to make those points, but just to clarify, there are cash machines in the location along that area as well. But the points you raised are valid, and I think David Griffiths will be taking them on board, and it's outlined in the report. So thank you very much for that. So now I will refer members to the recommendation on page 185 of your agenda pack. I will propose this agenda item. Can I have a seconder, please?
Happy to see Eilio, please to second, Chair.
Thank you, Alan. Any abstentions? I don't see any. Members, if you do not indicate to the contrary by raising your hand, I will assume you're in favour of the recommendation.
No indications to the contrary, Chair, so those recommendations have been approved.
Thank you, Tammy. I move on to agenda item 13, which is another traffic order. It's the Godagraig and Yslavera. The report is on pages 197 to 216 and is here for the decisions. So back to you, David Griffiths, to see if you have anything further to add.
Thank you, Chair. And not to hog the meeting, and it's my last item, I just wanted to mention, as part of the consultation on the proposals around this traffic order, that members of the community raised some points around the introduction of a traffic signalised junction. And I just wanted to put that on record that we will be looking at that as a separate item. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, David. Can I ask members if they have any questions? I don't see any. I now refer members to the recommendations on page 200 and 201 of your agenda pack. I'm happy to propose this agenda item. Can I have a seconder, please?
Happy to see Eilio, please to second, Chair.
Thank you, Alan. Any abstentions? I don't see any. Members, if you do not indicate to the contrary by raising your hand, I will assume that you're in favour of the recommendations.
No indications to the contrary, Leader, so those recommendations have been approved.
Thank you very much. Agenda item 14 is the admission to community schools, which is for 2026 to 2027. The report is on pages 217 to 244 and is here for a decision. Can I ask Chris Millis if he has anything further to add, please?
Nothing further to add. Thank you, Chair. If there are any questions, Helen and John are there with you.
Thank you very much. I did spot them, Chris, so thank you. Can I ask members if they have any questions on this agenda item, please? Yeah.
Thank you, Chair. Not a question, more of a statement. Once again, thank you to the team for doing this. It's ongoing hard work, which never gets easier. It's good to see we working cross-boundary as well, which in itself makes it better for the families, but adds additional work to our officers. So just to give you my thanks, Ellen.
Thank you very much, Nia. Any other member? Any comments, questions? No? Okay, then. I now refer members to the recommendations on page 220 of your agenda pack. I will propose this agenda item. Can I have a seconder, please?
Happy to see Eilio, colleagues, please to second.
Thank you, Alan. Any abstentions from members? I don't see any. Members, if you do not indicate to the contrary by raising your hand, I will assume that you're in favour of the recommendations.
Again, no indications to the contrary, Chair, so those recommendations have been approved.
Thank you once more, Tammy. Agenda item 15 is the school exclusions update. This report is on pages 245 to 252 and is here for monitoring. But again, I will go back to Chris Millis to see if he has anything further to add on this agenda item.
Thank you, Chair. Just to add that monitoring exclusion is an extremely high priority for us. A lot of work goes in, multi-agency work across our schools and officers and directorates to support those children that are possibly excluded or going to be excluded. And John is also in the audience with you to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Chris. Members, do you have any questions on this agenda item? Councillor Jenkins?
I'm sorry, it's me again. Just to note, really, I know that our exclusion levels haven't come down to what they were pre-pandemic. However, there's been a significant improvement in the last year, and this really points to how our local authority and the education department are looking at the causes and working with pupils. Multi-agency is working and it's improving outcomes for our children. So thank you very much, because it hasn't been easy.
Thank you, Nia. Thank you very much. We will be noting this monitoring report. So if I move on to agenda item 16, which is the pupil attendance update. And this report is on pages 253 to 262 and is also here for monitoring. So again, I'll go back to Chris Millis to see if he has anything further to add to this monitoring report.
Thank you, Chair. Similar to the last one, attendance is a priority for us. A lot of hard work goes in with officers working with families and not just the child in school. And a lot of work goes in at school level as well. So just my thanks to everyone involved with that. We're monitoring it closely. It is improving, but it's not where we would like it to be yet, Chair.
Thank you very much, Chris. Members, any questions? Councillor Jenkins, please.
Yes, but I'll just reiterate what Chris has said there. I think it's important to notice that we had an Estin Lally visit within this year, and they've noted very good practice. Our schemes such as Miss School, Miss Out has been successful. It is improving. And I think it's important to note as well, the governor training that we provide in Neath Talbot's exceptional, and it keeps our governors on board with the aims of the directorate. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nia. Any further comments from members? Again, as I mentioned, this is a monitoring report, so we will note it. Agenda item 17 is the leadership strategy and impact on MPT workforce in our schools. This report is on pages 263 to 266 and is here, as I mentioned, for monitoring. So again, I'll go back to Chris Millis to see if he has anything further to add.
Thank you, Chair. This is one of my priorities within education development, and that's supporting the leadership within our schools at all levels. Andrew Herbert is with you to answer any extra questions you may have, Chair.
Sorry, you must be very bored of me by now. Not a question. Again, this is important, and the fact that, again, going back to the governor training, so the governors can support our staff and our leaders within the schools. The staff well-being, I know we covered in a previous cabinet meeting, where we are actively supporting our staff within the schools as well with a counselling service. And all these things are important. So thank you very much. We are actually quite a leading figure within Wales in doing this, and it's nice that it's being acknowledged.
Thank you very much, Nia. Again, we will note this monitoring report. I move on to agenda item 18, which is the Teaching and Learning Support and Development Programme. This report is on 267 to 270, and once more, it's a monitoring report, but I'll go back to Chris Millis to see if he has anything further to add.
Thank you, Chair. Another important strategy for us to support the teachers at sort of school level and to make sure that they develop. We know that we have a recruitment and retention deficit within the teaching profession, and we're doing everything we can to support those that work extremely hard in difficult circumstances. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chris. Members, any questions or comments? Councillor Jenkins?
Just to reiterate what I said earlier, with the leadership programme, it's all about co-working together and mutual support, and thanks to everybody involved.
Thank you, Nia. Can I just say at the end of all these monitoring reports, and it's not just for Chris, I think the education team here, under the most extreme pressures and difficulties that we all find ourselves in, are doing an exceptional job for Neath Talbot and for the parents, grandparents and pupils, most importantly the pupils, of course, across our county borough. So take that back to all your staff, for those that you are on the call or in the chamber. Thank you very much. Can I move on to agenda item 19, which is the Community Council's minor project schemes? It's the Coed Frank Town Council one. And this report is on pages 271 to 276 and is here for a decision. Can I ask Hugh Jones if he has anything further to add, please, Hugh.
Just to say it's a standard application that meets the scheme criteria, Chair, so happy to recommend to members to support. Diolch.
Thank you very much. Members, do you have any questions? I don't see any. I now refer members to the recommendation on page 274 of your agenda pack. I will propose this agenda item. Can I have a seconder, please?
Hapus Ielo, pleased to second.
Thank you, Alan. Any abstentions? Don't see any. Members, if you do not indicate to the contrary by raising your hand, I will assume that you're in favour of the recommendation.
There are no indications to the contrary, Chair, so those recommendations have been approved.
Thank you very much. Agenda item 20 is the Community Council Minor Project Scheme for Tonna Community Council. This report is on pages 277 to 282 and is here for a decision. So I'll go back to Hugh to see if there's anything further to add on this agenda item.
Same as the last item, Chair, so nothing to add. Diolch. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Members, any questions? Don't see any. I now refer members to the recommendations on page 281 of your agenda pack, and I'm happy to support this and propose this agenda item. Can I have a seconder, please?
Hapus Ielo, pleased to second. Chair.
Thank you, Alan. Any abstentions? I don't see any. Members, if you do not indicate to the contrary by raising your hand, I will assume that you're in favour of the recommendations.
No indications to the contrary, so those recommendations have been approved.
Thank you, Tammy. Agenda item 21 is the Youth Engagement Strategy. The report is on pages 391 to 497 and is here for a decision. So is Rhiannon Crowes on the call?
Yes,
Can
Chair,
I ask if you've got anything further to add?
I'm here. I'm online.
Oh, I can
Chair.
see you now. Sorry, Rhiannon.
That's okay. Just very briefly, I just want to emphasise really that this is a really important strategy for our youth service. It has been through scrutiny, and as a result, we've added some lines in the report to strengthen really what our plans are around developing an action plan and making sure that this work sits below the children and young people's plan action plan as well. So just wanted to give some reassurance to members that that work is being considered and it is included now in the work going forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Rhiannon. Can I ask members if they have any questions? Councillor Jenkins, please.
Thank you, Chair. I'm speaking today and including, this covers both our portfolios with Jeremy with the post-16 education in colleges, but this is really exciting 10-year plan. Again, it's multi-agency and co-working. What I would like to point out really that each of these reports that we have before us from education today, it shows the level of commitment that we've got as a local authority to address education, the well-being and the progress of all our young people. We're encouraging them and hoping to enable them to achieve their full potential, and that's irrelevant of their financial background. So it's very good news, and I'd like to thank the youth team that developed this for engaging with young people in developing it. It wasn't a legal requirement, but they care, which is why they've done it. So thank you all.
Thank you very much, Nia. Do any other members have any comments? Sorry, Councillor Hurley, tucked away behind the bell there. Sorry, Councillor Hurley.
Thank you, Chair. Again, just to add to what Councillor Jenkins has said, just like to thank everyone who's involved in giving our children in the borough, additional chances. They may not always progress through the normal school route, but they are never forgotten and always given opportunities that could be life affecting and put them on the right pathway. So thanks to all that are involved. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hurley. Any other member? No? Okay then, I now refer members to the recommendation on page 399 of your agenda pack. I'll propose this agenda item. Can I have a seconder, please?
Hapus Ielo, pleased to second.
Thank you, Alan. Any abstentions? Don't see any. Members, if you do not indicate to the contrary by raising your hand, I will assume that you're in favour of the recommendations.
No indications to the contrary, Chair, so those recommendations have been approved.
Thank you very much. Agenda item 22 is improving recycling performance and budget delivery. The report is on pages 499 to 610 and is here for a decision. I'll now go to Michael Roberts if he has anything further to add, please.
Thank you, Leader. I just need to update members on the feedback from the Scrutiny Committee. Obviously, this report was submitted before the Scrutiny meeting last week. I think the majority of the Cabinet were in the Scrutiny Committee, so I'll just summarise by saying that Scrutiny were in favour of the mixing of paper and card and the introduction of small electrical equipment collections. They were not in favour of the proposed changes or consultation proposal. They were supportive of the proposed updated policies, but did request that a further report be brought back on side waste at the same time as the planned follow-up report on missed collections.
Thank you very much, Michael. Can I ask members if they have any questions or comments? Councillor Scott Jones, please.
Thank you, Leader. About 18 months ago, it was proposed by officers to implement 3 weekly waste collections as part of our waste strategy. At that time, we decided to consult with residents across Neath Talbot regarding these 3 weekly waste collections and a proposal to charge for green waste collection. In addition to the public consultation, I've chaired several member seminars and I met with Scrutiny Committee to gather their views on such proposals. I'm confident that as a council, we can meet the 70% Welsh Government recycling target as our current recycling performance has been improving. I'd like to thank our Refuse and Recycling Department for their continuous efforts in this area. However, I believe we still have a significant work ahead in promoting and encouraging residents across Neath Talbot to recycle, particularly focusing on food waste moving forward. I would like to highlight that the proposal for 3 weekly collection is part of a budget saving measure identified by officers, amounting to 739,000. The Cabinet needs to consider that if support for the 3 weekly collections is not obtained today, the budget gap will need to be addressed in another way. Regarding the proposed charges for green waste collection, I'm not currently convinced that there will be enough interest from residents in this chargeable service. Some may perceive it as an additional tax, especially since council tax already contributes to the cost of waste collection. Additionally, I believe we may see a reduction in green waste being counted towards our recycling targets if some residents choose not to use a paid service. I am aware that a significant majority of residents have expressed their views on both the 3 weekly collection and the green waste charge proposals. I acknowledge that we have much work ahead, not only to improve our recycling targets, but also to enhance the quality of service we deliver across Neath Talbot. I look forward to collaborating with officers on these initiatives going forward. Furthermore, I do not believe it's appropriate or environmentally friendly to leave pest waste in wheelie bins or refuse bags for 3 weeks. This will inevitably place more pressure on our already stretched environmental health and pest control departments. I view this Rainbow administration as one that listens. Considering the concerns raised by the public during the consultation, as well as those from Scrutiny Committee and the wider council membership, I'm not convinced that moving to 3 weekly collections or implementing a charge for green waste is the right approach at this time. Therefore, Leader, I therefore support option B on 3 of the options. I will not be supporting the option or recommending to the wider Cabinet to switch to 3 weekly collections. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Jones. Can I ask if there's any other comments or questions from members of the Cabinet? Councillor Phillips.
Thank you, Leader. I just want to pick up on a couple of things that Scott has said there, and I very much agree with him. Firstly, on the issue of the 3 weekly bin collection, while that may come some years down the line, it has to be on the basis that we can say to residents, excuse me, we can say to residents that there's no sort of bulk biological, organic, smelly, pest collecting waste in those 3 bins, or that there should be none if they're recycling correctly. And until we've addressed the issue of domestic pet waste, which is likely to be up to half our households, we're not going to be able to do that. So that is a significant, for me, significant issue on that one. On the issue of the green waste, as Scott noted, it may adversely affect our recycling percentages and targets. But in addition to that, I'm concerned about biodiversity issues and the issue of if we have an increase in fly tipping of green waste, that may include not only, as was noted in the scrutiny committee, not only grass that could be dangerous to horses, but also invasive species. We already have significant problems with Japanese knotweed and rhododendrons and Himalayan balsam in our area, and we don't want to risk more of that. And then on the third issue of discontinuing the use of wheelie bins, again, the environmental impact of the additional litter as a result of having black bags rather than bins is a major concern for me. So I just wanted to express those. Thank you, Leader.
Thank you, Councillor Phillips. Any other member? Councillor Noyle, please.
Thank you, Leader. Yes, it would be remiss of me, I think, as Cabinet Member for Finance, if I didn't pick up what my colleague Councillor Jones mentioned about the budget saving measures of £739,000 for the waste collections. We are going through a budget strategy at the minute for 25-26, which we know has £11.8 million worth of savings proposals and income generation ideas linked to it. This will obviously take that down if approved, which I'm not against, if I might say that. But it just needs to we need to be wary and consider that when we reduce that 11.8 million by any figure, then that will have an impact on the overall gap that we've got and may impact council tax for our residents also. Thank you, Leader.
Thank you, Councillor Noyle, and you're quite right to spell that out because it's quite an important part of the overall budget. Any other further comments, Councillor Llewellyn, please?
Yeah, diolch yn fawr, Cadeirydd. Just to add very briefly, I think that we all recognise this is a very professional report which reflects the complexity of the management of waste and the tasks of improving our recycling targets in line with Welsh Government requirements. And it's the result of many months of work and discussions. It isn't always obvious or visible the amount of work and processes that are involved in the management of waste, and we all have a part to play. Our frontline crews, department officers that have been referred to this afternoon, and of course all our residents. And these are messages that we need to continue carrying back to our residents in our wards. But there was a very clear response to our consultation. We have to reach a decision this afternoon in the interests of all our communities. Diolch yn fawr. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Llewellyn. Any other further comment from members? Can I just say as well, then I certainly concur with all the points raised, and certainly Councillor Noyle's point of how we manage a budget going forward. But also I think it's significantly worth recognising that whether it's down to policy changes or changes in a waste strategy, Swansea Council themselves, the fly tipping has gone up significantly in the recent months, which has been highlighted. So we need to do what's the best we can for Neath Talbot constituents and residents. And I do believe the decision that we are taking this afternoon will be the right one. But now, before I move to the members and to the recommendations, I'm going to bring Craig Griffiths in now because of what we are deciding to do to explain the process. If you could, Craig, please.
Okay, thank you, Leader. What I would suggest, members, is because you do have a few ultimate options in the report, we look at each of the recommendations in turn and we get a clear vote for each individual one. That way, then we can make sure we've got an accurate reflection. So what I've just mentioned to the Leader, but if you're happy, Leader, I will take members through each of the individual elements and then members can vote and we can just make sure then that you're accurately recording everything that you wish as part of it. So I'll take you through the system when you're ready.
Yes, if you would then, Craig, please, thank you.
That's great. So if I start with recommendation 1, which is having due regard to the integrated impact assessment, it is recommended that members approve the combining of paper and card curbside collections and the introduction of small electrical item curbside collections. Could I have a proposer for that particular recommendation?
Yeah, I'm happy to propose that agenda item.
Thank you. And could I have a seconder, please?
Hapus i eilio, pleased to second.
Okay. Are there any members who wish to object to that recommendation? Any abstentions? In that sense, I think we can take the view that recommendation 1 then is approved in that case. So recommendation 2 is having due regard to the integrated impact assessments, it is recommended that members approve the updated miscollections policy with a further review after the implementation of the in-cab live feed system set out in Appendix C of this report. Could I have a proposer, please?
Happy to propose that agenda item, Craig.
And a seconder?
Hapus i eilio, pleased to second.
Thank you very much. Any abstentions from members? Anyone wishing to vote against? In that sense, I can say with recommendation 2 is approved. So recommendation 3, there was a request from the Scrutiny Committee to consider an addition to this recommendation so that it would read, approve the revised no side waste policy set out in Appendix D of this report with a review report to be included with the missed collections policy. Collectively as a Cabinet, are you happy to take that recommendation on board?
Yeah. Cabinet members, happy? Yeah. Thank you.
Leader. So in that sense, then, could I have somebody propose the recommendation with that additional wording I just mentioned?
Yeah, happy to propose, Craig.
And a seconder, please.
Yeah, hapus i eilio, happy to second.
Thank you, Deputy Leader. Any abstentions? Anyone wishing to vote against? So recommendation 3 with the scrutiny amendment has been approved. Okay, for recommendation 4, members effectively now have 2 options. So what I would ask is for members to determine, or somebody to propose which of those options A or B you wish to proceed with at this point.
I ask the Cabinet portfolio holder to propose these items, and I'm happy to second that.
Happy to propose option B, Leader.
Thank you. Could I have a seconder?
I'm happy to second, Craig.
Thank you. So the recommendation then is to option B, which is not implement a proposal to move to 3 weekly refuse collections. Any members wish to abstain from that decision? Any members wish to vote against? In that sense, the recommendation then not to implement a proposal to move to 3 weekly refuse collections is passed. Recommendation 5, again, members have 2 options here. So could I ask somebody to propose which of those 2 options you wish to proceed with?
I propose option B, Leader.
And I'm happy to second that option, Craig.
Thank you, Leader. Thank you, Councillor Jones. So option B is which you put forward there is to not implement a green waste collection charge. Are there any members who wish to abstain from that recommendation? I see none. Anyone wishing to vote against? Therefore, option B is approved not to implement a green waste collection charge. And then the final option, again, could I have a member to propose which of those options you wish to proceed with?
Happy to propose option B, Leader.
And I'm happy to second option B, Craig.
Thank you, Leader. Thank you, Councillor Jones. So the recommendation then is not to include the potential supplementary measures to discontinue the provision of black sacks and the use of wheeled bins for refuse collection in the forthcoming budget consultation. Members, anyone who wishes to abstain from that recommendation? Anyone voting against? Therefore, option B, therefore, is approved as the recommendation number 5. Thank you, Leader.
Thank you very much, Craig. Tammy, can you confirm the outcome of what Craig has just gone through?
Yes, as Craig said, Leader. Thank you.
Thank you very much. If I move on then to agenda item 23, which is the pilot of the new access approach to parks and gardens. The report is on page 611 to 630 and is here for a decision. Can I ask Mike Roberts if he has anything further to add, please?
Thank you, Chair. Only to add that as part of the pilot, we will of course be in dialogue with all the any friends groups and groups within the parks, such as those using the bowling greens.
Thank you very much, Mike. Members, do you have any questions? I don't see any. I now refer members to the recommendations on page 617 to 618 of your agenda pack. I will propose this agenda item. Can I have a seconder, please?
Obviously, I'm pleased to second, Chair.
Thank you, Alan. Any abstentions? I don't see any. Members, if you don't indicate the contrary, by raising your hand, assume you're in favour of the recommendation.
No indications to the contrary, Leader, so those recommendations have been approved.
Thank you very much. I move on to the agenda item 24, which is the Corporate Plan Reset, Review, Recover 2022 to 2027 Annual Report. This report is on pages 631 to 720 of your agenda pack and is here for a decision. Can I ask Noel Wyn Daniels if he has anything further to add, please?
Diolch, Cadeirydd. Only to state that this is a comprehensive report articulating all the excellent work undertaken during 23-24 to deliver the strategic priorities within the corporate plan of 22 to 27. Members will clearly be aware that you approved a revised corporate plan for 2024-2027 and further reports will come forward in terms of how we are progressing against that in due course. Diolch, Cadeirydd.
Thank you very much, Noel Wyn. Can I just say then that this report presented to Cabinet today provides a summary of the progress made during 2023-2024 on the delivery of the Council's 4 wellbeing objectives, which was approved by Council in March 2022 and as part of the corporate plan for 2022 to 2027. Like all councils across Wales, we are facing numerous challenges. Nevertheless, the ability to achieve what we have done during the past year is an accomplishment that both officers and members should be very proud of. This is a balanced annual report that captures both our key achievements in the service delivery and notes areas for further future improvement. There are many achievements documented within the annual report, so I have picked out just some to highlight the important work which has been taking place to allow us to progress to a number of our priorities in the coming years. So during 2023-2024, we launched the Housing and Homelessness Strategic Plan 2024 to 2027 in recognition of rising homelessness and lack of affordable housing. Through this strategic plan, we are able to address how we intend to proactively address the housing challenges that are impacting our communities. And we would like to highlight how we intend to work together to improve the lives and homes of the residents of Neath, Talbot. Significant work has been undertaken to drive down our energy consumption and costs during 2023-2024 as we drive forward with an ambitious programme of work to deliver our commitments on climate change and decarbonisation. We have identified priorities for long-term investment across Neath Talbot through the development of our destination management plan and both the culture and heritage strategies. These will in turn support the sustainable management and growth of our visitor economy and our historic and natural environment. As a result of the UK Government's Shared Prosperity Fund, we launched the Business Growth and Innovation Fund and the Local Business Priority Fund, with over 6 million of grants being offered to businesses. In addition, we have delivered 52 Let's Talk Business engagement events so that we could hear from our local businesses to continue to drive forward the local economy. I do appreciate, with the volume of items on today's Cabinet agenda, that members may not have had the opportunity to read the full report yet, but I would encourage you all to do so, and we welcome any feedback you may have. The report can be found on pages 637 to 720 of your Cabinet pack. I will conclude by asking Cabinet to approve the recommendation to commend to Council on the 8th of January 2025 today. But can I ask if there are any further comments or questions from the Cabinet members? Councillor Llewellyn, did you want to come in?
Yes, very briefly, Chair. I'd like to thank Noelwyn and the team for the report. Diolch yn fawr I chi am eich gwaith caled iawn ar y adroddiad yma. As a council, we faced unprecedented financial pressures during the period covered by the report, but the review reflects the very hard work of all our staff in working on delivering services and improvements across the county borough. And I'm sure that members will continue to support them in those efforts. The pressures on us have, if anything, increased in the current year, including the Tata Steel decision to close the blast furnaces at the steelworks. But we have continued to work on our policies and strategies for the future. Now, earlier this year, as mentioned in Noelwyn's introduction, we have adopted our new corporate plan, working towards a more prosperous, fairer and greener Neath for Talbot, which reflects our continued ambitions and aspirations. And I know that the strategy team are working very closely with all of our departments on the development and implementation of that plan. But I'd be happy this afternoon, Chair, to support the recommendation that we approve the report that's before us and the review that's before us this afternoon.
Thank you very much, Alan. Can I ask any further observations, questions from members? Don't see any. So I will now refer members to the recommendations on page 635 and 636 of your agenda pack. I'm happy to propose this agenda item. Can I have a seconder, please?
Happy to see you look at it. Pleased to second.
Thank you very much, Alan. Any abstentions from members? I don't see any. Members, if you do not indicate to the contrary by raising your hand, I will assume that you're in favour of the recommendations.
No indications to the contrary, Leader, so those recommendations have been approved for commendation to Council.
Thank you very much, Tammy. Agenda item 25 is the 2024-2025 important risk register monitoring report. And this report is on pages 721 to 762 and is here, as I mentioned, for monitoring. But can I ask Noelwyn Daniels if he has anything further to add, please?
Nothing to add, Leader. Diolch.
Thank you, Noelwyn. Can I just briefly say that as a Cabinet, we have a responsibility as set out in our corporate risk management policy to ensure that we have a full understanding of the strategic risks we are holding as a council and monitor them on a 6-monthly basis. Following feedback from members, officers have presented the strategic risk register before us today in a user-friendly format and have also strengthened the approach taken as outlined in the covering document. I think you will all agree that we are moving in the right direction, and these revisions will aid us in ensuring we have a robust framework in place to manage risk. You will also note that each of the risks are now set out on their own page to provide a clear view of controls and mitigation action in an effort to reduce the residual risk rating as far as possible. Since we have had the last review, the strategic risk register, there has been a number of changes which are set out for us in the covering report. You will note new risks have also been added linked to homelessness, community tensions, and more recently, the impact of Tata Steel transition. The report can be found on pages 721 to 762 of your Cabinet pack, and I ask members again to review and raise questions appropriately. Following on from today's Cabinet meeting, the Strategic Risk Register will be presented to the Governance and Audit Committee on the 22nd of November 2024 to undertake their specific role in providing independent assurances for the Council's risk management framework. So is there any other member want to make any comments on this agenda item? I don't see any. This agenda item, as I mentioned, is a monitoring report, so we will monitor this report. Agenda item 26 is the Public Service Ombudsman for Wales Annual Report 2023-2024. The report is on pages 763 to 780 and is here for information. But I will hand over now to Craig Griffiths to see if he has anything further to add, please.
Thank you, Leader. Just to add that this is a standard report that is produced by the Public Service Ombudsman and is issued to all authorities throughout Wales. A copy of this was considered at our Standards Committee a few weeks ago, specifically look at the aspects in relation to the Code of Conduct for members. It will also now be considered by the Governance and Audit Committee in a few weeks' time. Just one point ultimately to mention in the report, that one of the statistics is regarding recommendations to the Council, the Ombudsman Office only noting 29% were complied with. Just to confirm, the reason for this is that it did take longer ultimately to investigate those complaints, and it was actually dealt with the complainants itself. It just happened that the Ombudsman hadn't been notified that that was the case, so we just took the opportunity to highlight that, and we've put a system in place now to make sure that they have ultimately been addressed. And also as well, there were some examples where the responses were dealt with, they were just not forwarded back to the Ombudsman Office in time. So again, we've put some measures in place ultimately to remedy that going forward.
Thank you very much, Craig, for that update. Can I ask members if they have any questions? I don't see any, and as I mentioned, this is to note that report. Agenda item 27 is the Christmas, New Year opening times for our libraries, leisure centres, etc. This report is on page 781 to 796 and is here for a decision. So can I ask Chris Saunders if he has anything further to add, please? Or Dan is taking it, sorry. Over to you, Dan.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. In Chris's absence, nothing to add, but take questions.
Thank you very much. So can I ask members if they have any questions on this report? I don't see any. I now refer members to the recommendations on page 783 of your agenda pack. I will propose this agenda item. Can I have a seconder, please?
Happy to see I look at it. It's just a second.
Okay, well then. Any abstentions? No? Members, if you do not indicate to the contrary by raising your hand, I will assume that you're in favour of the recommendation.
No indications to the contrary, Chair, so those recommendations have been approved.
Thank you, Tammy. Agenda item 28 are urgent items. I don't have any this afternoon. Agenda item 29 is access to meetings. So the access to meetings report is on page 797 to 802 of your report pack. So I will add to resolve to exclude the public from the following items in pursuit of Regulation 4 in brackets 3 and 5 of your Statutory Instrument 2001 number 2290 and the relevant paragraph of Part 4 of your Schedule 12A to the Local Government Act 1972. I am now going to propose that we move into private session. Can I have a seconder, please?
Happy to see I look, please, to second, Chair.
Can I ask if there are any abstentions? I don't see any. Members, if you do not indicate to the contrary by raising your hand, I will assume that you're in favour of now moving into private.
No indications to the contrary, Leader, so we're just going to check that the recording has stopped and the member of the press has left the